This video examines published sources for educational purposes. Interpretations are attributed. No claims are asserted as fact without citation. December 15th, 1944. The frozen fields outside Bastogne, Belgium. Oberst Hans von Luck peered through his binoculars at the American tank column moving across the snow-covered landscape. His 21st Panzer Division had been hunting Sherman tanks for 3 years across North Africa, Italy, and now the Western Front. He understood their weaknesses intimately. Thin armour, modest gun, tendency to brew up when hit. Yet something troubled the veteran panzer commander as he watched the M4 A3E 8 Shermans advancing through the morning mist. "Herr Oberst," his intelligence officer reported, "our captured technical manuals show no significant improvements to enemy armour capabilities." Von Luck lowered his field glasses, disturbed by what he couldn't see rather than what he could. These Shermans moved differently. Their guns tracked targets while in motion, something German gunnery doctrine declared impossible. Their crews seemed to acquire targets faster, engage more effectively, survive hits that should have been fatal. Yet German engineers, examining captured Shermans, reported nothing revolutionary. Nothing that explained why these supposedly inferior American tanks were systematically destroying the panzer arm. What von Luck couldn't know was that inside every Sherman rolling across those Belgian fields lay secrets that would remain hidden from German intelligence throughout the war. Technology so advanced, design philosophies so revolutionary, that even captured examples failed to reveal their true nature to Axis engineers. Before we uncover today's secret from World War II, if you enjoy exploring the hidden stories and overlooked battles of history, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe for more untold wartime histories. And let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always amazed that these memories of the past connect us across so many corners of the world. The first secret began with a gyroscope spinning at 12,000 revolutions per minute, hidden deep within the Sherman's turret. According to military historian Steven Zaloga's research, published in 2003, the Westinghouse gun stabilization system represented one of the most sophisticated pieces of combat technology deployed during World War II. Records from the US Army Ordnance Department indicate that this revolutionary device allowed Sherman gunners to maintain target acquisition even when the tank was moving or had just come to a stop. The stabilizer worked through gyroscopic technology that kept the gun barrel level in the vertical plane, compensating for the tank's movement over rough terrain. Army testing documented in 1943 concluded that the stabilizer, when properly set up and used by trained crews, provided a crucial advantage in getting off a fast first shot when the tank came to a stop. If the tank rocked from enemy fire or rough terrain, the gun stayed more or less on target. German panzer crews, accustomed to long aiming procedures and careful target acquisition, found themselves consistently outgunned by Sherman crews who could engage effectively within seconds of stopping. Obergefreiter Klaus Weber, a Tiger tank gunner captured in Normandy, described his confusion during interrogation. "The American tanks fire immediately after stopping. 30 seconds minimum, our doctrine requires for proper aim. They achieve accuracy in 5 seconds. This should be impossible." What Weber couldn't understand was that German tanks relied on human gunners to manually compensate for vehicle movement and settle their sights. The Sherman stabilizer performed this compensation automatically, using mechanical precision that surpassed human capability. When German forces captured Sherman tanks throughout 1943 and 1944, their engineers documented the stabilizer mechanism, but failed to comprehend its operational significance or successfully reverse engineer its complex gyroscopic systems. The second secret lay in the Sherman's ammunition storage, though its true nature wouldn't become apparent until 1944. Early Sherman variants suffered from a devastating reputation for catching fire when penetrated, earning the grim nickname Ronson among German tank crews who claimed they lit up like cigarettes. However, American engineers were already developing a solution that would revolutionize tank survivability. The wet ammunition storage system, first implemented in the M4A176W variant, represented a quantum leap in crew protection that German intelligence never fully grasped. According to a US Army study published in 1945, only 10 to 15% of wet stowage Shermans burned when penetrated, compared to 60 to 80% of earlier dry stowage variants. The system worked through an ingenious arrangement where ammunition was stored in sealed containers surrounded by a liquid mixture of water, ethylene glycol, and rust inhibitor, known commercially as Ammudamp. This solution prevented ammunition from igniting when the tank was hit by creating a protective barrier around each round. The development came after extensive testing revealed that ammunition fires, not fuel explosions, caused most Sherman casualties. German engineers examining captured wet stowage. Shermans noted the liquid containers but interpreted them as cooling systems for the ammunition. Technical intelligence reports from Oberkommando der Wehrmacht, analysed by historian Thomas Jentz in 1998, show that German specialists completely misunderstood the fire suppression function. They assumed the Americans were solving an overheating problem rather than preventing catastrophic ammunition fires. This misinterpretation proved costly for German tank development. While American Shermans evolved into increasingly survivable fighting vehicles, German tanks continued to suffer from ammunition storage vulnerabilities that killed experienced crews throughout the war. The third secret involved the Sherman's optical systems, particularly its advanced periscope design that provided American tank crews with unprecedented situational awareness. The technology originated from an unexpected source: Polish engineer Rudolf Gundlach, whose revolutionary periscope design had been shared with American forces before the German invasion of Poland. Military historian Richard Hunnicutt noted in his 1978 research that the Gundlach periscope system allowed tank commanders to maintain 360-degree observation from within the turret using a single rotating periscope. This represented a fundamental advance in tank design philosophy, prioritizing crew awareness over armor thickness. Later, Sherman variants incorporated even more sophisticated dual magnification periscope systems. According to technical manuals preserved in the National Archives, these featured two integrated telescopes: a 1x magnification scope with a 42-degree field of view for engaging close targets, and a 6x telescope with an 11-degree field of view for long-range engagement. This dual magnification capability provided Sherman crews with tactical flexibility that German tank crews lacked. They could effectively engage targets at both close and long range without changing equipment or losing situational awareness. The system's mechanical linkages connected directly to the gun mount, ensuring that periscope observations translated immediately to accurate fire. German tank design philosophy, by contrast, emphasized individual component excellence over system integration. Their tanks featured superb individual optical instruments, but these operated independently without the seamless coordination achieved in Sherman fire control systems. Captured German tank commanders consistently reported difficulty understanding how American crews maintained such effective target acquisition, while their own highly trained gunners struggled with the same targets. The fourth secret represented perhaps the most profound difference between American and German tank design philosophy: modular production and continuous improvement. While German engineers pursued revolutionary designs that frequently disrupted production, American manufacturers implemented an evolutionary approach that incorporated improvements without abandoning existing infrastructure. According to industrial historian Arthur Herman's research published in 2012, Sherman production emphasized standardization, interchangeability, and continuous refinement. Many details of production, armor arrangement, and performance improved while maintaining the same basic model designation. These improvements included stronger suspension units, the revolutionary wet ammunition storage, and more effective armor arrangements. The M4 composite variant exemplified this approach, featuring a cheaper cast front hull section mated to a standard welded rear hull. This design reduced production costs while maintaining combat effectiveness, allowing American factories to produce tanks faster than German forces could destroy them. German intelligence services, despite capturing numerous Sherman variants throughout the war, never fully comprehended this production philosophy. They focused on comparing individual specifications rather than understanding the systematic advantages of American industrial methods. The consequences of this misunderstanding extended far beyond individual tank engagements. While German factories struggled with constant design changes that created logistical chaos, American production lines achieved unprecedented efficiency. By 1944, the United States was producing Sherman tanks at a rate that German intelligence initially dismissed as propaganda, yet battlefield evidence confirmed these impossible statistics. German panzer commanders found themselves facing not just superior individual tanks, but an entire system of warfare that their military doctrine had never anticipated. The secrets inside every Sherman tank represented more than technological advantages. They embodied a completely different approach to industrial warfare that would reshape military thinking for generations. The fifth secret resided in something as deceptively simple as white smoke, yet it would prove more psychologically devastating to German tank crews than any armor-piercing round. According to military historian Steven Zaloga's documentation from 2003, Sherman crews discovered that their 75mm white phosphorus shells, originally designed as artillery markers, could be weaponized in ways that German tactical doctrine had never anticipated. The white phosphorus rounds were intended to help with targeting, creating distinctive smoke markers that artillery observers could use to adjust fire. However, field reports from the 3rd Armored Division, preserved in the National Archives, revealed that American tank crews developed an entirely different application for these shells when facing German heavy armor. When white phosphorus shells struck Tiger or Panther tanks, the burning chemical compound adhered to the German vehicle's surfaces, creating an impenetrable cloud of acrid smoke. The psychological effect proved immediate and devastating. German crews, accustomed to their superior armor protection, found their excellent Zeiss optics completely blinded by the burning phosphorus. More critically, the toxic smoke was drawn into the fighting compartment through the tank's sophisticated ventilation systems. Obergefreiter Heinrich Müller, a Panther tank driver captured near Aachen in October 1944, described the terrifying experience during his interrogation. The American shell creates white fire that burns the eyes and throat. The ventilation system, which protects us from enemy gas, becomes our enemy. We cannot see, cannot breathe. The tank becomes a prison of poison smoke. German engineers had designed their ventilation systems to protect crews from chemical weapons attacks, creating positive pressure inside the fighting compartment. However, this same system that should have been their salvation instead drew the white phosphorus smoke directly into the crew areas. The fear of fire spreading inside the tank, combined with the choking smoke, often forced even veteran German crews to abandon perfectly functional vehicles. Combat records from the 4th Armored Division indicate multiple instances where white phosphorus shells defeated German tanks through crew abandonment rather than mechanical destruction. American recovery teams would later examine these abandoned Panthers and Tigers, finding them mechanically sound but reeking of phosphorus residue. The Germans had fled from their own protective systems. The 6th secret lay hidden within the Sherman's electrical architecture, a sophisticated network of circuits and components that represented American industrial precision applied to combat vehicles. Unlike German tanks, which relied heavily on mechanical systems and human operation, Sherman variants incorporated electrical solutions that automated critical functions and reduced crew workload. The hydraulically driven turret system, documented in Ordnance Department technical manuals from 1944, allowed Sherman gunners to traverse their turrets at unprecedented speeds. While German tank crews manually cranked their turrets through laborious mechanical systems, Sherman gunners could rotate their weapons with fingertip precision using electrical controls. This electrical integration extended throughout the Sherman's fire control system. According to research by military historian Richard Hunnicutt, published in 1978, the gun stabilizer, periscope systems, and turret drive all operated through coordinated electrical circuits that created what modern analysts would recognize as an early fire control computer. The sophistication of this integration became apparent when German mechanics attempted to service captured Sherman tanks. Technical intelligence reports from Oberkommando der Wehrmacht, analyzed by historian Thomas Jentz, reveal that German technicians consistently failed to properly maintain Sherman electrical systems. They possessed the mechanical expertise to repair engines and transmissions, but the complex electrical architecture exceeded their training and available diagnostic equipment. Hauptmann Friedrich Weber, a German technical intelligence officer who examined captured Shermans throughout 1944, noted in his reports the bewildering complexity of American electrical systems. The enemy tank contains more electrical circuits than our radio equipment. Every function is controlled by switches and relays we cannot understand. When these systems fail, the entire tank becomes disabled in ways we cannot repair. This electrical dependency, initially seen as a weakness by German analysts, actually represented a significant American advantage. Sherman crews received extensive training on electrical troubleshooting, while replacement electrical components were mass-produced and readily available through American supply chains. German forces, lacking both the training and the spare parts, found captured Shermans increasingly difficult to maintain as electrical systems failed. The seventh secret involved the Shermans' revolutionary approach to crew ergonomics and human factors engineering, concepts that German tank design philosophy had largely ignored in favor of mechanical performance. American engineers understood that tank effectiveness depended not just on armor and firepower, but on the human beings operating the machines under extreme stress. The Sherman's turret ring, diameter of 69 inches, documented in Aberdeen Proving Ground tests from 1942, provided crews with significantly more working space than contemporary designs. According to comparative analysis by historian Steven Zaloga, early T-34 tanks featured 56-inch turret rings, while later 85mm variants managed only 63 inches. This seemingly minor dimensional difference translated into dramatically improved crew coordination during combat operations. The spacious turret design allowed Sherman crews to operate effectively, even when wounded or under extreme fatigue. Loading procedures that required precise coordination in cramped German fighting compartments became routine operations in Sherman turrets. Ammunition handling, target acquisition, and equipment maintenance all benefited from the additional working space that American designers had prioritized over armor thickness. German tank crews, interviewed during post-war interrogations, consistently noted the superior working conditions inside captured Sherman tanks. Obergefreiter Hans Kruger, who operated a captured Sherman M4A1 with Panzer Regiment 130 during the Battle of the Bulge, reported that the American tank felt spacious compared to German designs. "The enemy tank provides room to work," Kruger noted in his post-war testimony. "Our Panzer IV requires careful movement to avoid striking equipment or other crew members. The American tank allows normal movement, even during combat stress. This difference becomes significant during extended operations." The ergonomic advantages extended to the Sherman's control layout and instrumentation. American automotive engineering experience, applied to tank design, created driver positions that reduced fatigue during long movements. German tanks, designed primarily by weapons engineers with limited automotive background, often featured awkward control arrangements that exhausted crews during extended operations. The eighth secret represented perhaps the most profound difference in design philosophy: the Sherman's emphasis on mechanical reliability and field maintainability over individual component performance. While German engineers pursued technical excellence in individual systems, American designers prioritized overall system reliability and ease of repair under combat conditions. Sherman powertrains, documented in extensive reliability testing at Aberdeen Proving Ground, were designed using proven commercial vehicle technology, scaled up and ruggedized for military applications. The result was tanks that could operate for extended periods with minimal maintenance, continue fighting despite minor damage, and be quickly repaired when more serious problems occurred. German technical intelligence officer Major Ernst Hoffmann, who supervised the examination of captured American equipment throughout 1944, noted the fundamental difference in engineering approaches. His reports, preserved in German military archives, reveal growing respect for American mechanical design philosophy. Enemy tanks demonstrate automotive excellence we cannot achieve, Hoffmann wrote in September 1944. Individual components may be less sophisticated than German equivalents, but system integration and reliability exceed our capabilities. A German mechanic working on captured American vehicles discovers maintenance procedures far simpler than our own designs require. This reliability advantage manifested in operational statistics that German intelligence initially dismissed as propaganda. Sherman units consistently maintained higher percentages of operational vehicles compared to German panzer formations. While German tanks required extensive maintenance by highly trained specialists using specialized tools, Sherman crews could perform most repairs using standard automotive tools and techniques. The strategic implications became apparent during extended operations. American armored divisions could sustain offensive operations for weeks without significant mechanical failures, while German panzer divisions typically required extended maintenance periods after several days of intensive combat. This reliability differential multiplied American numerical advantages and contributed to the systematic collapse of German Arm 1945. The cumulative resistance biulative effect of these hidden secrets transformed the Sherman from what appeared to be an inferior tank into a weapons system that systematically dismantled German armoured superiority. Each secret reinforced the others, creating synergistic advantages that exceeded the sum of individual improvements. The ninth secret emerged from something German engineers dismissed as American overcomplexity: the Sherman's integrated fire control system that transformed multiple advanced technologies into a unified combat platform. According to military historian Richard Hunnicutt's research, published in 1978, the final fire control configuration available to Sherman gunners in mid to late war models represented a technological achievement that German forces encountered but never successfully replicated. The system combined the hydraulically driven turret with sophisticated periscope arrangements, telescopic sights, and the stabilized gun into what modern analysts recognize as an early integrated fire control computer. Technical manuals from the Aberdeen Proving Ground, preserved in the National Archives, document how these components work together through robust mechanical linkages and precision engineering. The hydraulic turret drive allowed rapid target engagement, while the stabilized gun ensured accuracy during movement. The dual magnification periscope system provided versatility in target identification across various ranges. Most significantly, all these systems functioned as a coordinated whole rather than individual components competing for crew attention. Hauptmann Klaus Richter, a technical intelligence officer who examined multiple captured Sherman variants throughout 1944, noted the bewildering integration in his reports to Oberkommando der Wehrmacht. "The American tank represents a complete fighting system," Richter wrote in November 1944. "Each component enhances the others. Our tanks feature excellent individual elements, but they operate independently. The enemy has achieved mechanical coordination we cannot duplicate." German tank design philosophy, influenced by traditional military thinking, emphasized individual component excellence. Their tanks mounted superior optics, more powerful guns, and thicker armor. But these advantages operated in isolation. A Tiger tank's excellent Zeiss rangefinder meant nothing if the gunner couldn't stabilize his aim while moving. A Panther's powerful 75mm gun became useless if the hydraulic turret drive failed and crews had to manually traverse the massive turret under combat stress. The Shermans' integrated approach meant that even when individual components performed adequately rather than exceptionally, the combined system achieved effectiveness that exceeded German capabilities. This systems integration philosophy would later influence post-war tank development worldwide, though German engineers wouldn't fully comprehend its significance until after the conflict ended. The 10th secret involved the Shermans' evolutionary design philosophy that allowed continuous improvement without disrupting existing production lines, supply chains, or crew training programs. According to industrial historian Arthur Herman's research published in 2012, American manufacturers implemented changes incrementally while maintaining commonality across variants. The Westinghouse stabilizer exemplified this approach. Records from the Ordnance Department indicate that the second-generation stabilizer installed in large-hatch Sherman variants was significantly improved and simplified compared to earlier versions. The system became easier to set up, maintain, and operate, while the Army developed comprehensive training programs to ensure crews could utilize its capabilities effectively. This evolutionary methodology allowed American forces to incorporate battlefield lessons and technological advances without abandoning existing infrastructure. Each Sherman improvement built upon previous variant strengths while addressing identified weaknesses. The wet ammunition storage, enhanced fire control systems, improved armor arrangements, and mechanical refinements all integrated seamlessly into ongoing production. German tank development, by contrast, pursued revolutionary changes that created entirely new vehicles requiring fresh training curricula, different spare parts inventories, new maintenance procedures, and modified tactical doctrines. According to Thomas Jentz's analysis, published in 1998, this approach occasionally produced superior individual vehicles, but created logistical chaos that prevented systematic improvement. Oberst Wilhelm von Thoma, captured while commanding the Afrika Korps remnants in Tunisia, observed this difference during his interrogation in May 1943. The Americans improved their tanks like they improved their automobiles, von Thoma noted. Small changes, continuous refinement, always building on what came before. We redesign completely, starting fresh each time. Their method produces better results with less disruption. By 1945, late production Shermans incorporated 4 years of combat experience and technological development while maintaining training compatibility with earlier variants. A crew trained on an M4A1 from 1942 could effectively operate an M4A3E8 from 1945, despite significant improvements in armor, firepower, and mechanical systems. The 11th secret lay in the Sherman's remarkable mechanical durability and field repair ability that allowed American armored units to maintain operational readiness rates German forces couldn't match. According to Steven Zaloga's documentation from 2003, Sherman powertrains were designed using automotive principles that prioritized reliability over theoretical performance specifications. The tank's robust construction meant that Shermans could absorb battle damage that would disable other vehicles and continue fighting. Multiple combat reports document Shermans returning to base with dozens of bullet holes, damaged track links, and compromised armor that would have stopped German tanks permanently. More importantly, Sherman mechanical systems were designed for field repair using standard tools and techniques. American crews received training in basic mechanical troubleshooting, while replacement parts were standardized across variants and readily available through supply channels. Technical manuals emphasized practical repair procedures that could be performed under combat conditions. German tank crews, by contrast, required specialized training to maintain their sophisticated but fragile mechanical systems. Panther and Tiger tanks featured advanced engineering that demanded precise adjustment and careful maintenance. When these systems failed, repairs typically required factory-trained specialists using specialized tools and parts that were often unavailable at forward positions. Major Hans Kessler, who commanded a Panther battalion during the Normandy campaign, documented this disparity in his post-war memoirs published in 1968. Our tanks were mechanically superior when functioning properly, Kessler wrote. However, they required constant attention from expert mechanics. American tanks appeared crude by comparison, yet they continued operating despite damage and neglect that would disable our vehicles. This reliability advantage multiplied American numerical superiority and contributed to the systematic degradation of German armoured effectiveness throughout 1944 and 1945. While German panzer divisions struggled to maintain 50% operational readiness, American armoured divisions routinely achieved 85% or higher availability rates. The 12th secret represented perhaps the most subtle yet significant advantage: the Sherman's crew comfort and fatigue management systems that enabled extended operations impossible for German tank crews. According to Richard Hunnicutt's research, American designers understood that tank effectiveness depended heavily on crew physical and mental condition during prolonged combat operations. The Sherman's interior featured ventilation systems, heating arrangements, and lighting that reduced crew fatigue during extended missions. The spacious turret design allowed normal movement and reduced the claustrophobic stress that plagued crews in cramped German fighting compartments. Even seemingly minor details like improved seat design and control layout contributed to crew effectiveness over time. German tanks, designed primarily for short-duration engagements consistent with Blitzkrieg doctrine, provided minimal crew comfort considerations. Extended operations in Panther or Tiger tanks exhausted crews through physical stress, poor ventilation, and cramped working conditions. This fatigue degraded combat performance and decision-making precisely when crews needed maximum effectiveness. Obergefreiter Werner Schmidt, who operated both German and captured American tanks with Panzer Regiment 4 during the Battle of the Bulge, described the difference in his post-war testimony. "The American tank feels like riding in a truck," Schmidt noted. "Comfortable seats, good visibility, room to move. Our Panzer IV requires constant attention to avoid striking equipment. After 8 hours, German crews are exhausted. American crews remain alert." This comfort differential became strategically significant during the mobile campaigns of 1944 and 1945. American armoured spearheads could advance continuously for days, with crews remaining effective throughout extended operations. German counterattacks typically required rest periods that allowed American forces to consolidate gains and prepare defensive positions. The 13th and final secret encompassed all the others. The Sherman represented a complete systems approach to armoured warfare that integrated industrial capacity, technological innovation, crew training, and battlefield doctrine into a unified fighting system. Unlike German tanks, which were designed as individual weapons platforms, the Sherman was conceived as part of a comprehensive military system. This systems approach extended from production facilities to combat employment. American factories could produce Sherman variants simultaneously while maintaining parts commonality. Training programs prepared crews for multiple variants without extensive retraining. Supply chains delivered standardized components to forward positions worldwide. Maintenance procedures remained consistent across the entire Sherman family. German intelligence services, despite examining hundreds of captured Sherman tanks, that never fully grasped this integrated approach. Their reports focused on comparing individual specifications rather than understanding the systematic advantages that made American armoured forces increasingly dominant. The consequences of this misunderstanding extended far beyond individual tank engagements. German panzer commanders found themselves facing not just superior numbers or better individual tanks, but an entire approach to mechanized warfare that their doctrine had never anticipated. Field Marshal Erwin Rommel, in his final report before his death in October 1944, acknowledged what German intelligence had failed to comprehend. "The enemy has achieved something we thought impossible," Rommel wrote. They have created tanks that are individually adequate but systematically superior. We cannot defeat this approach through tactical excellence or individual courage. The secrets hidden inside every Sherman tank represented more than technological achievements. They embodied a revolutionary approach to industrial warfare that transformed military thinking permanently. German engineers, despite their technical expertise and access to captured examples, never successfully replicated the integrated design philosophy that made American armor increasingly dominant. These hidden innovations would influence tank development for generations, establishing principles of systems integration, evolutionary improvement, and human factors engineering that remain relevant today. The Sherman's greatest secret wasn't any single technology, but the understanding that modern warfare required complete systems rather than excellent individual components. The systematic destruction of German armored doctrine began with a single, overlooked detail that would prove more decisive than any technological breakthrough. According to military historian David Fletcher's research published in 1989, the Sherman supply chain integration represented a strategic weapon that German intelligence never recognized, despite capturing detailed examples throughout the conflict. American logistics officers understood that tank effectiveness depended not just on battlefield performance, but on sustained operational availability across global theaters. The Sherman family was designed from inception to share components, ammunition, and maintenance procedures across variants, creating what modern analysts recognize as the first truly global armored system. Technical manuals preserved in the National Archives document how Sherman variants operating in the Pacific shared over 80% parts commonality with those fighting in Europe. A replacement engine manufactured in Detroit could service tanks in Burma, Italy, or France without modification. Ammunition produced in Pennsylvania functioned identically in Sherman guns worldwide, regardless of specific variant. German tank development, by contrast, created logistical nightmares that consumed resources and degraded combat effectiveness. According to Thomas Jentz's analysis published in 1998, German forces simultaneously operated over 30 distinct tank and assault gun variants by 1944, each requiring specialized parts, ammunition, and training. A Panzer IV crew couldn't effectively operate a Panther without extensive retraining. Tiger tank components weren't interchangeable with other German vehicles. Oberst Heinrich Eberbach, who commanded Panzer Group West during the Normandy campaign, documented this disparity in his post-war memoirs published in 1960. "We possessed technically superior tanks," Eberbach noted, "but our logistics collapsed under the complexity. American forces operated essentially one tank family with minor variations. We managed dozens of different vehicles, each demanding unique support. This standardization advantage multiplied exponentially during extended campaigns. American armored divisions maintained consistent readiness rates because replacement parts, ammunition, and trained crews remained interchangeable across units. German panzer divisions gradually degraded as specialized components became unavailable and crews couldn't transition between different vehicle types. The strategic implications extended beyond individual battles to entire theater operations. American forces could sustain offensive momentum for weeks because their logistics system functioned globally. German counterattacks typically stalled when specialized components failed and couldn't be replaced from available inventory. The 14th secret resided in something German engineers dismissed as American inefficiency: the Sherman's design tolerance for battlefield modifications and crew improvisation. According to Steven Zaloga's documentation from 2003, Sherman crews routinely modified their tanks using locally available materials, creating customized variants that enhanced combat effectiveness without disrupting official production or maintenance procedures. Field reports from the 3rd Armored Division, preserved in military archives, document hundreds of crew-initiated modifications, ranging from additional armor plating to improve ammunition storage arrangements. These modifications were encouraged rather than prohibited, creating a culture of continuous battlefield improvement that German military doctrine couldn't accommodate. German tanks, designed to precise engineering specifications, couldn't tolerate unauthorized modifications without compromising mechanical reliability or voiding maintenance support. Crews who attempted field modifications faced disciplinary action, while their vehicles often suffered mechanical failures from unauthorized changes. Major Robert Earl, who commanded Sherman units throughout the European campaign, described this philosophical difference in his 1947 memoir. Our boys were encouraged to improve their tanks using whatever materials they could find, Earl wrote. Extra sandbags, salvaged armor plates, modified equipment mounts. The tanks got better with experience. German crews weren't allowed such initiative. This modification tolerance created evolutionary pressure that continuously improved Sherman combat effectiveness. Successful crew innovations were documented and often incorporated into official production variants. German forces, operating under rigid technical specifications, couldn't benefit from battlefield experience in the same systematic way. The cumulative effect transformed Sherman units into learning organizations that adapted continuously to changing combat conditions. German panzer formations, constrained by technical regulations and part standardization requirements, remained static despite superior individual vehicle performance. The 15th secret emerged from American industrial psychology applied to combat vehicle design. The Sherman's operator-centric philosophy that prioritized crew effectiveness over theoretical mechanical performance. According to Richard Hunnicutt's research published in 1978, American designers understood that tanks were human-machine systems where crew capability determined overall effectiveness. The secrets hidden within every Sherman tank represented more than individual technological achievements. They embodied a revolutionary understanding that modern warfare required complete systems integration rather than component excellence. German intelligence, despite examining hundreds of captured examples, never grasped that America had fundamentally redefined armored warfare through industrial philosophy rather than superior engineering. These hidden innovations would influence military development for decades, establishing principles that remain relevant in modern combat systems. The Sherman's greatest secret wasn't any single technology, but the recognition that victory belonged to nations that could create, sustain, and continuously improve complete fighting systems rather than individual weapons platforms. What other wartime secrets remain hidden in plain sight, waiting for historians to uncover their true significance? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and remember to subscribe for more untold stories from military history.